All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always. Let me load the game before I say this next part, just in case I'm wrong. But as I thought, we have two parts in this before we get to move on to the teenager arc, the 13-year-old arc, from what I understand. And I'm excited to be teenagers and stop being children. I know that I've been going through the DLC, but being children has felt so long. I'm excited to see what comes next for us, that next step. So let's see what Runaway is about. I'm a little bit scared that it's us. I'm a little bit scared that it's Cove. I don't know how to feel. Let's see. After a couple hours at the playground by yourself, it had gotten firmly into afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the Is Lizzie the one running away? She was rushing over like something was on her tail, chasing her. You knew she would be coming, but was she that excited to get to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balanced her hands on her knees, and panted. Did you hear? Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found the new hiding place of her mom's, or I guess our mom's, sugar stash. It's about Cove. Oh no. Buddy. Cove? Lizzie rarely brought him up herself, and never with this much urgency. What was this about? You listened, confused, as Lizzie explained. I just came out and I saw lots of people gathered around in the middle of the street. They were talking kind of quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear, but that just means it was important. So I snuck up, and I heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly, she wanted you to say something. Tell me. Lizzie raised her eyebrows at your insistence, and she continued easily. Cove is missing. He left a piece of paper for at least he left a note. To tell him he was going away and would be gone for a long time, and no one's seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if they don't find Cove soon, they'll call the police. The police? You had seen police officers around town now and then, but you had never talked to one before, much less dealt with them. It was an intimidating thought. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? No. You watched as your sister began to pace in front of you. I know Mom said Cove is sad about moving here, but running away from home is crazy. Where else is he gonna go anyway? I want to find him. Let's go. Lizzie scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment. Then she nodded and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna look too. You are? Mm-hmm. We can play at the park any day, and the more people there are looking, the quicker someone will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm the best at hide and seek, after all. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look, not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Wish me luck. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in this crisis faded to the back of your mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. It was surprising news at first, but that sounded like something he'd do when you considered it again. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He'd gone there the first time you met. Same thought. But someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need the police for that. Cove must be far away, or hiding somewhere, if the whole neighborhood was looking for him. He swung back and forth, your lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Lizzie had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home was somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that might be important enough for Cove to go off like this. It was a good idea, except how was he going to get there? Could he take a bus? Was he going to walk the whole way? You didn't know what direction he needed to take. But wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to either side would mean he'd just get stuck by buildings and fences and big slopes, like the one behind your house. That left going up the street. You knew that road. It led to the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits. Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off that road onto some other random street. Which meant, if someone followed that path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so... That is a difficult decision, because technically I want to go find him myself, but simultaneously I'm 8 years old. I've already gotten in trouble for wandering off in the middle of the night. I guess I'm gonna tell them where to search. I know it's gonna be a breach of trust for him, but he'll get over it. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. I'm feeling very My Neighbor Totoro right now. Don't talk to me about flip-flops. On your way home, you spotted Mom almost instantly. She must know about Cove and was looking too because she was wearing a worried frown. Her expression cleared up when she saw you walking towards her. Kit, I'm glad you're here. Cove is... She cut herself off, sighing deeply. Why don't you head inside? I need to stay out for a bit longer. Something is going on right now, but we'll take care of it. Mom tried to usher you into the house, but you didn't budge from where you stood. I know where Cove went. What? How did you even find out that he's missing already? She shook her head before you could answer. You know what, that's not important right now. Where is it, Kit? You told her your hunch. She listened intently. The main street. That's not good. I'll drive down there to make sure he doesn't get far. Mom muttered that more to herself than you, but you heard her all the same. Can I come with you? Don't you dare say no. I'll run too, man. Mom turned back to you and shook her head. I'm sure you're worried about Cove, and that's good, but I need you to wait at home with Mommy. If I find him, I'll bring him straight here, okay? You were disappointed, but you nodded. She stroked your cheek, smiling softly. Mom guided you to the house with a hand on your shoulder. You both went in. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. Mom briefly explained what happened before she grabbed the car keys. Mommy saw her out. Soon after, you were herded into the kitchen. You sat at the table while Mommy microwaved leftovers, which you gobbled up. You hadn't even realized how hungry you were. The two of you settled into the living room after that. Mommy put a cartoon on the TV for you to watch while you waited. You snuggled up against her side as you watched the show, warm and safe. Your mind was still on Cove. Would Mom find him out there in town? Or was he actually somewhere else? You didn't have to wait long to find out. Halfway through the episode, you heard the front door unlock. Then it swung open with a shout. We're here. I've got him. How do you pronounce... If her name's Nolani. Nolani? So is it just Lonnie, I guess? Come on in, Cove. You didn't stir from the couch at first, not sure what to do. But Mommy got up, so you followed her. Mom was putting her car keys away. Cove stood nearby with his head bowed. You squinted to get a better look at him. He looked exhausted. His eyes were rimmed red, nearly matching his glasses, and there were dried tear tracks stuck on his cheeks. And a backpack was slung over one of his shoulders. At least he's prepared. He really had planned on running away. Oh, thank goodness, you found him. Yes, he was way down Main Street, just like Kit said. Sorry. Cove shuffled his feet at that, but he remained silent. You could tell that he felt out of place. You weren't the only one who noticed his discomfort. You must be tired, Cove. You can sit down wherever you like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned him to the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. He walked close behind him, frowning. Cove was always pretty quiet, but this was a different kind of quiet. The living room wasn't far, or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing. That explains it, at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True, it can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots. I'll call, then go to the front to tell everyone's still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hon. Anarchy! Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kind of want to run away and not come back this time, so I don't have to see them again. Please never run away again. Cove looked guilty for even suggesting that, despite it not being serious. I won't. Not for real. For fake, though, you would? You had more to say to Cove and to ask him. But before you could, the front door opened. Gee, I wonder who it's gonna be. Your mom was back with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son. Cove, God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of— Damn, it's serious if the ponytail's messed up. His eyes were darkened, like he'd been crying too. Aww. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He hadn't really expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. Good. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile. But the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed, as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still grinning weakly, then looked up at your moms. Thanks for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully. And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough. It was no trouble, Cliff, really. It couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. Damn, we're just happy we could help, and that Cove's safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then, too. Only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad. I won't leave anymore. Promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine. That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Let's... Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked to the front door so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow. But he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold. Thanks, kid. Oh, that's nice. I was thinking that he was gonna berate me, like, how fucking dare you? But, you know, probably not those exact words, because he's 8 years old. Huh? What for? Your mom said you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went back. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. Damn. That one one got me, to be honest. Him thanking me. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were left feeling overwhelmed. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you off for a nap with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. After the nap, everything else was a blur. You were settled into bed for real later that night in what felt like just a couple moments. You woke up. Okay. Like 5 seconds passed. I really thought we were going to have a day-night cycle, but okay. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like it was a dream, but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down, and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were pleased that you came to them the moment you had an idea where Cove disappeared off to. As a reward, your mom's promised to take you and Lizzie out for a treat later. It was a more than welcome change from the worry you'd been dealing with. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what had happened, too. You didn't know what was said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. Good. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard before. Self-flagellation. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. Well, at least everything turned out right in the end. I was a little bit worried of that one going into it. As I said before we went into it. I guess let's have a sleepover now. With who? I don't know. Cove? We haven't seen Shiloh in a while. With Shiloh? With everybody? Oh my god. Huge sleepover. Alright kids, we're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if you had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood in the process. I like that an 8-year-old knows that the table's mahogany. In the process of putting down cutlery. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots into the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, uncrossing her legs and standing up. She stretched her arms above her head. Finally, I'm ready to eat. Then she cast a sly glance in your direction. You recognized that look. Last one to the table is a rotten egg. I haven't. But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted towards the kitchen. I'd love to throw a cushion at her. I guess I'll try to catch up to her, but she was all but daring you to give chase. You planted a hand against the ground to jump to your feet. For a moment you stumbled, but you righted yourself easily enough, then rushed after her. Though there wasn't really time to close the gap. It was a short distance to the kitchen table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping a hand over the wood. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump into her. With an exasperated sigh, she resumed her work. I win again! I mean, yeah, you sure did. I won. That means you're the rotten egg. I'll accept it. Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder. Cove, you think so too, right? You blinked. You'd almost forgotten about him. The fact that Cove preferred to keep to himself didn't help matters either. He spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, the arm with a cast resting in his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him still here so late. Tonight, Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your mom's and his dad had planned it a few days ago. Girl. You weren't. I'm in between this and. I guess I hadn't expected it when your mom's told you, but you didn't mind Cove sleeping over. It was just for one night, even if he's not really your friend. I would think that we're friends. The game is constantly talking shit about him. I think we're friends, Cove. Even if he's not really your friend, he isn't the worst person in the world. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but he didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her, now that Lizzie would make it easy. This wasn't the first time she had asked him to be a referee for one of her sudden races. Well, did I win or what? Cove still didn't respond. He turned away, refusing to weigh in. Lizzie glowered, but it had no effect. Fine, you don't have to say so. You can both be rotten eggs. That's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each farm fresh. That's cute. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Now listen to Mom and come sit at the table for dinner. All three of you. You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the edge of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you and Mom turned her back. Two can play at that game. You stuck your tongue out right back. When Mommy pointedly cleared her throat, though, the two of you stopped. Your parents brought the last of the food, then they took their seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you and Lizzie. Only Cove was left out. He'd stood up from his spot on the floor, but he hadn't made a move towards the kitchen. Cove, you can sit too. Slowly, he eyed the 4 seats that were left. Thanks to the new seating arrangement your parents chose, 1 free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last 2 were on the other side of where your moms were sitting. Sit. He hung his head and scuttled past you, Lizzie, and your moms. He went to the... Bitch. He went to the chair on the opposite edge of the table and sat down. It seemed being far away is what he wanted. Your moms frowned. You shrugged it off and turned back to your plate. Now that everyone was situated, Mommy began to pass out plates. Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for our dinner tonight, okay? I didn't notice that my mouse was on screen. Be sure not to avoid all the veggies. Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves, except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands clamped on top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. Me too, honestly. Even now, as an adult, I'm like, oh my god. Tell me what to do. It's rough. One dish seemed to have his eye, at least. That's pineapple chicken. Want to try some? Not really. Sorry. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Do you not like any of the food, honey? Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Wow. Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating, then spoke again. You should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. Unless you want to shrink, that's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. I've had some things, just not any of this. Oh shoot, I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's alright, Lonnie, maybe he'll find a new favorite today. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying the food anytime soon. I'm trying to crack my wrist. In the background, it's rough. It's gonna happen eventually. There we go. I think you will like the pineapple chicken. It's yummy. Eventually, Cove carefully spooned the rice and pineapple onto his plate. Maybe because he didn't know what else to do at that point. You saw that he avoided the veggies entirely. I like that it's just rice and pineapple. Your mom's let him get away with not taking the vegetables. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly, he was apprehensive to eat something new, but he took a few exploratory bites. It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied even though it wasn't exactly a glowing commendation. You know those words where like you know the word, but it's just not coming out of your mouth correctly? Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends. Oh. Mommy floundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. It seems strange that your mommy was taken aback by the news. When had they gotten along? And you didn't consider yourself to be friends with him either. You had gotten used to seeing him around a lot over the summer, but the two of you hadn't struck anything that could count as friendship. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug. Elizabeth, don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as a weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. It's not a nice thing to say to anyone, but Pam. Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sounds of clanking silverware meant you had caught the quiet words anyway. They're not friends. He said so. As parents, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves. Now less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. But Mom... No buts. We talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. I'd stay quiet. It was good food, and you were pretty content to just keep eating. That's the idea. Good job, Kit. Everyone else, get to it. My mouse moves on its own. You see that in the corner of the screen? I am letting go of it now. Okay, good. You're gonna stay over there? Cool. The rest of dinner passed by uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when your moms attempted to include him in the conversation. All too soon, the table was cleared, the games in the living room were put away, and you were all steered to your bedrooms. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow just as Mommy poked her head into the room. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably in your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpits. You could kick it off later if it got too hot. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor just for Cove. Beside your bed, he had already wiggled inside. We are. Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled when you squawked in annoyance, and left. Mommy took her place, sitting on the edge of your bed. Sweet dreams, sweetie. She pressed a soft kiss to your forehead. You giggled as strands of her hair fell forward and tickled you. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his spot on the floor. Do you need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Sometimes he picks me up and lifts me really high and he shakes his hands like he's gonna let go, but he catches me again. Absolutely wild, Cove. He keeps doing that until sometimes he does drop me on my bed, or other times he lowers me down and we pretend like I'm crashing. Cove had become pretty excited when talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was and bashfully quieted. But I don't want to do that here. Aw, how fun! Though I think you're right that it might not be a good idea to do that tonight. The sleeping bag might not be a soft enough landing. If there's anything else, you can always ask me or Kit's other mom. But I'm the nicer one. Just don't tell her that. She laughed good-naturedly and stood up. Sleep well, Cove. Night. Leaning against the door jamb, she rested a hand on the light switch and looked to you. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. If my character didn't say it, I was going to. With a last smile, Mommy turned off the lights and stepped out, closing the bedroom door behind her. You listened to her footsteps fade as she walked down the hallway. You closed your eyes and snuggled in, prepared to drift off. We have to have conversations. It's a sleepover. Just because they put us to bed doesn't mean we're actually gonna sleep. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of a lump under the covers. Cove? What's up? I can't sleep. Understandable. Why not? He shifted, or at least you thought he did. You couldn't see anything since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. I want to be in my bed. Oh. Cove sat up. Your eyes had gotten used to the low light level, so you could see him better. He got out of the sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side table, and pulled open the top drawer. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You put them inside the drawer of the bedside table. I put mine in bed next to me, so I mean, I know I'm a little chaotic, but inside the drawer of the bedside table is a new one for me. You sat up too, watching as he reached inside. He paused for a second, then pulled his hand out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. We could read a book. Cove turned it around in his hands, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew even without reading the title which one it was. That was one your moms would read to you. It was special. I mean, I'm cool with it, but none of these responses are really cool with it. Be careful? Cove glanced over at you guiltily. I didn't mean it in a bad way. Sorry, it looked cool. The compliment he afforded your special book made you forget your irritation, at least a little. It is really cool. Oh yeah? What's it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight and there's magic. Does it have mermaids? No, but the squire's really brave and funny. It has cool pictures. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. There's a dragon in it and crazy things happen. The squire tries to kill her because the king wants the dragon dead, so they have this fight. But the squire finds out that the dragon's really nice. They decide they don't want to fight her after all, so the two of them become friends instead. Usually, Cove sported a disinterested expression on his face, or a sad one. You could probably count the number of times you'd seen him smile on one hand. Right now, though, he looked excited as he flipped the book over and focused at the backside to try learning more. Put on your glasses, dweeb. You might be able to read. You're reminded of the hours you'd spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it, or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and pictures inside. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. I want to read the book with Cove. You climbed out of the bed and padded over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You didn't respond, letting the suspense build instead. You let out a quiet cry of victory when you found what you were looking for. You jumped back onto the bed before any hidden boogeymen could catch you unaware. All right. Cove continued to watch as you wiggled your way beneath the blanket you discarded earlier. You pulled it up over your head. What's... Shh, get under here already. Bring the book, too. Oh my god, the little CG and everything. After a minute, the bed dipped in as Cove got on it. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling for the switch. Holy hell! With a click, the small space flooded with bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else. Whoops. He tilted the flashlight so that it shone directly onto his face, giggling. Hey! You shifted again, making it shine down. This is my favorite CG in the entire game. I'm calling it right now. Holy fuck, and he blinks. I never expect him to blink. You adopted an innocent expression when Cove scowled at you. Now we can read and my moms won't know. I do this all the time. I have literally, which book was it? I think it was Vampire Academy. I read pretty much the entire series. I think all in one night. I know I definitely got like far. All in one night. Stayed up the entire night. My mom woke up the next morning and was like, what are you doing? Why are you still reading? And it never got better from there. I always pretend to sleep when Mom or Mommy checks on me, and I've never been caught. It's fun. Do you want to try? Cove nodded. Pleased by his straightforward response, he placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he laid down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine it on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed until you shuffled back a comfortable distance. It's, probably for the best to read it silently. To take turns reading the book silently, though, to like back and forth like that. Here. You turn the book around so it was right side up for Cove. You can read a page, then I'll read it, and then we can keep switching like that. He nodded with a bit of hesitance. Cove tugged the book closer towards him. Then he began to read. You saw his mouth form the words as he whispered them under his breath, inaudible to you. After some time, he was finished reading the first page. He took a few moments to admire the picture covering half the page, then slid the book back towards you. Your turn. You continued this way until you were a quarter way into the tale. The next time it was Cove's turn, you yawned, resting your chin atop your crossed arms. Idly, you studied Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. Your eyelids started to droop. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed in your pillow. Your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. I hate that. Slowly, you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. You rolled onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, when you saw a dark shape towering above. You froze. Then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove? That you? What are you up for? Yeah. You shifted and felt something cylindrical press against your thigh. You fumbled for it. The familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it on. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were left on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Can't sleep. I keep waking up. So you changed clothes? Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep. It's weird here, thanks. You frowned. You'd helped your moms redecorate it only a few months back. I like my room. It's weird to me. I want to sleep in my bed. I'm gonna go. I don't think that's gonna go over well, Cove. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He was going to walk outside back to his own house? At this time of night? All by himself? He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. My dad will let me in, and I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. I don't know what to do with you. I guess I'll tell my moms. No, I don't want you to. I'll just leave. My dad can call them in the morning. Well, you knew that you couldn't just let him go, but something inside you was saying that it wouldn't be the right thing to do. It's too late for you to go outside on your own. It'd be bad. Cove grumbled quietly, though stayed put. Okay, you can tell them. I'll wait. Good. When you crept into their room, Mom was still up reading in bed, while Mommy had already fallen asleep. When Mom woke Mommy up, they were both surprised to hear that Cove wanted to leave, and the two of them followed you back to your room to see him. Cove? Alright, look at her little, hood thing. That's so cute. Are you alright, sweetie? Is there anything we can do to help? Mommy sounded tired after having just woken up, but she smiled at Cove kindly. Cove shook his head firmly, not meeting anyone's eyes as he did so. I just want to go home. We're sorry that you don't feel comfortable staying. How about you come downstairs with us and we'll call your dad to get you? Cove headed past your mom's and out of the room. Mom turned to you before leaving. Alright, off to sleep, kiddo. We'll make sure Cove is taken care of. Good night again. Good night, Kit. You listened to the sounds of their footsteps on the stairs as you huddled back down in bed, pulling your blanket up around your shoulders. It didn't bother you that Cove had left. At least now you didn't have to worry if he would snore and keep you awake all night. Eventually your eyes started getting heavy, and with a loud yawn you finally got comfortable in your bed and drifted off to sleep. The next morning you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice and a soft shake on your shoulder. Kit, wake up. It's time to get up and at 'em. The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed at your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. Mom sat down on the bed next to you. You blinked at her for a moment, confused, until you caught the empty sleeping bag on the ground and remembered what had happened during the night. Mr. Holden came over to pick up Cove and take him home. You should have seen his hair when he turned up, half asleep. It was even messier than Mommy's in the morning. She chuckled at the thought, and you could tell she was trying to make you feel better about the whole situation, so you smiled back at her. Thank you for letting us know that Cove wasn't feeling good, Kit. That was a nice thing to do. You nodded in agreement, and Mom went on to say that maybe once Cove started to feel more comfortable that he could try to sleep over again sometime. You shrugged the idea off, not particularly caring if that happened anytime soon or not. You could have told your parents they shouldn't have tried to do this in the first place. Of course it wouldn't end well. The next time you saw Cove and Mr. Holden, they both apologized for Cove having left so suddenly. You assured them it was okay. In the end, the two of you and your parents were eventually able to move past the ill-fated sleepover. It had all been a learning experience, according to the adults. You could accept that. There were definitely things you had learned from it. Okay. It's just kind of weird in this game. You start by saying how you feel towards Cove at the beginning of every step, right? And so when you first start the game as a new player and you don't know anything about him, it makes sense for you to say that you're feeling indifferent about him. And then the more that you go through, it's like you start to understand him, you start to know him, you start to care for him a little bit. And then the game's like, yeah, well, you're not friends, and you don't think that you're friends, and, kind of being mean to him, and it's like, okay. I wish you could change halfway through a step and be like, okay, well, now I'm feeling differently. But you can't config. It's just, the settings. Menu is the main menu, I'm gonna save it here. I don't know why. And I think we have enough time to go into the next step. We've done everything. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I didn't think we were gonna get into this time. Hold on, why does it say, like, we can't replay these events? It's like, are you sure? Yes, there's nothing else to do. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms and Lizzie as the four of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That's cute. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more. You didn't do real magic, Mom. How'd you figure that one out? Because I know, that's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. I don't care. We have to keep playing before it's too late. I do not care for any of these options, so. You tried to be subtle about your little mumble, but you saw Mom look down at you from the corner of her eye and knew she heard. Yeah, it would be evil not to let us play until dinner. You weren't sure evil was a fair word choice, but nodded anyway. At times like this, you had to back each other up. Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her. Feeling that would add something to the argument. Well, oh come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory. Alright, but as soon as dinner's ready, you let her coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets? Oh, or maybe the playground, or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Well, we can't go too far. Dinner's almost ready. Lizzie pouted at you as you pointed this out. Mom said to be back in time for dinner. It won't take that long. I know, Kit. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie had to say before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mothers had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long, she was disappearing off down the road. I will stay outside, perhaps? I don't know. As a kid, I don't know that I would stay by myself outside. You were getting rather chilly yourself, and there was plenty to do inside. You didn't bother trying to catch up with Lizzie, swinging your arms at your sides as you strolled along the beach. It was getting colder, but you couldn't help but want to enjoy the last bits of daylight while you could. Not too much farther down, you spotted a familiar green head of hair moseying along the shore. Well, we gotta check it out. Curious, you strayed off your path and walked over to him. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. I don't know. Don't make me choose for him like that. I feel like I want to believe in him, but I don't. I will believe in him fully. It went. Okay. What you doing? Cove jumped a little, and he let out a small giggle. Sorry. What are you doing out here? I asked first. Cove frowned, turning back to the waves. I'm not doing anything, just thinking. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. It's not fair. I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When do you get it off? Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That's not very long at all. Are you excited? Cove gave another half-hearted shrug. I would be. You'll have so much more fun at recess. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. He sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad says something about that. So why don't you want to go? It's nice as far as schools go. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you got a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet. I want to go home. You weren't sure what to do. It felt weird to just leave him there, crying, but what could you say that could help? You frowned a little, starting to stand. Okay, well, bye then. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one that he would bring up whenever he felt the sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. He settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. This feels like a shitty thing to say to somebody who's not feeling it, you know? Like, I don't like this. You'll get over it. Do you hate it here? Cove's brow furrowed even more. Then he shook his head and started crying even harder. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? Cove, I live here. The question was a little surprising. Of course. I don't know if that's of course I'll be around or of course I'll leave, but you know, of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. Sure. You were fine with him changing the subject again. It'll be too cold by then. Who cares? He smiled so he'd know you were only kidding. Cove smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually. That I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. He spared a glance over at Cove and saw the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sound of the waves. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Had you guys really been sitting out there that long? You stood and dusted the sand off of yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked at you, expression screaming reluctance. Yet ultimately, oh? Okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. Ah. In between? In between? Oh, I get to change. Oh my god. I get to change what I look like. I like that I can change my pronouns too. Not that I would, but that's fun. Sorry, I just hit my microphone. I think I'm gonna keep everything generally the same. I could add freckles. I had them as a kid. I don't have them really as an adult. I should have added them when I was a kid. That's kind of cute though. I'll keep it. Acne? No, please. This is a fantasy game. We don't... wrong side. We don't know anything about that. Earrings... I didn't get my ears pierced until I was an adult, so... we'll keep it for now. I don't have any birthmarks on any of those locations. I don't have scars, freckles. Sure, we'll add all of them. They're still there. Braces, I'm good. I'm fine. Okay. Done. We just added freckles. I still feel... I don't really know the difference between direct and relaxed. Still. And I'd say we're at fond now. We're friends. Direct or relaxed? I think I'm gonna change it to relaxed. Listen. Let me, okay. Cool, great. I feel like they're both so similar in my mind. But I'm gonna see, I don't know, relaxed feels like the correct move. I don't know how to explain it. And now, here's the exciting part, because I know what comes next is the Cove creator, I think it's called. And I want to see what my base default Cove looks like. I think he's going to be wearing the red shirt. I'm hoping he doesn't have a stupid haircut. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Relaxed fondness, yes. Okay. Choose to customize Cove yourself or let his prior experiences determine it. I'm gonna say, I guess both. Okay. Red shirt, nice. Hair, that's a pretty nice haircut. Oh, there's only two. I thought for some reason he was gonna get the shorter haircut too. I've seen on him as an adult. I don't like this haircut on him. I don't know why, it just looks goofy. And I don't know why he's not wearing glasses. It's weird that he wears glasses as a kid, but he doesn't wear it as a teenager. But he looks kind of goofy with glasses. Maybe he gets better. I don't know. Shirt. I love this shirt on him. It looks a lot better, but I should stay committed to the red shirt. Pants. Those are fine. Left wrist. I love he wears the pink little bracelet to go with his... That's cute. Right wrist. Let's not go too crazy. Necklace. I don't know what changed, but sure, you can wear a necklace if you want to. I have not changed anything. We have kept normal Cove that I got. I want to know. PJs. I just want to see the options. I think I'll keep them as they are, unless it looks really bad. But I just want to see the options. Okay. Alright. Okay. Done. And he is... Oh no. Oh no, I've created a sporty cove. Oh no, why did I do that to myself? Did I really? Gross. I've made him a jock. Warm is nice though. I honestly don't care. Warm, moderate, cold, like whatever you want to be. I'll keep it. We might play this game multiple times so I can see like Studious Cove and all the different options and just... we'll keep it for now. I think maybe I'll end this episode here. Listen, we got to the teenage arc, but we're at an hour long now. I could save from this moment, so we can go ahead and do... maybe I'll save like here, right? This is childhood. This will be the next step. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I just really wanted to go through the Cove creator to see what kind of Cove we created. We're in the 13-year-old arc now, and I'm excited to get into that. It's really interesting because I'll go here real quick just so we can look at all the different options. Ghost and barbecue, I wasn't really feeling. The last episode when we did those two, I was like, okay, these are kind of the lamer moments. But I really liked Runaway and Sleepover. It's just a full 180 from what we did last episode, and now we're in the next arc. I'm excited to see what this brings, but I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you're excited for some teenage shenanigans. I have no idea what's going to go on, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what happens next. And I hope to see you then.